Hey guys, Dan here, and it's Dan Reviews It with Tim over Zoom. Hello, Tim.
Hi, everybody.
It's great to see you for another Dan Does Disney, and this time Fess Parker, our good friend, is back to talk or to star in Westward Ho The Wagons, and our buddy Mike Fink returns as well from Davy Crockett.
Yep, old Jeff York.
Yep, good old Jeff York. He'll always be Mike Fink to me. Um, and Tim will tell us a little bit more about him when we cover the synopsis of the film. But yes, some Disney regulars back into action. This is not one that's available on Disney Plus. Tim and I had to sort of swap this DVD around that I got from the Disney Movie Club. I did look on Amazon today. You can get it on like Prime Video to rent, but this DVD apparently is selling for $335 on Amazon Prime. So I would assume even Disney Movie Club, maybe you can't get it anymore.
Oh.
So yeah, I don't know why, but I guess I just got mine under the wire. There were a couple of video releases of this too, VHS in 1986, 1997, but this is the only DVD, and like a lot of the ones we've gone over, there's no Blu-ray available. And actually, something that we could talk about, I guess, during the synopsis too, during our review, Tim, is did you realize that that this is not, in fact, in the full screen CinemaScope experience that it was filmed in?
Sometimes it felt like it was CinemaScope, and sometimes it didn't.
Yeah, I agree, and I from everything I've read, so obviously it was filmed in CinemaScope, like all of Walt's movies at this point in time. But for some reason, all of the home releases, I assume that includes the VHSs as well. It's pretty much only the beginning and the end that are in CinemaScope. Everything else is just, I don't know if it's pan and scan specifically, but it's just sort of tamped down from that big epic, which makes sense because there weren't, like, the bars and stuff on the top and bottom of the screen that we've been getting with some of these were not present, and I don't know why they did that.
Yeah, there was definitely times where I did think that there were some pan and scan scenes when they were talking in like groups with like three people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it, like, halfway through the movie, I was like, I swear this was shot in CinemaScope. Why is it looking like this? So I looked at a couple different articles, and yeah, apparently I don't know. So maybe the masters are lost, and we'll never, even if this does go on Disney Plus or whatever, maybe we will never get that CinemaScope experience back. We'll talk maybe about how that affected things. But anyway, in terms of the background, it's nice that we're doing this one this week because this was a Christmas release for Walt. It was December 20th of 1956 was when this came out. And we just, by the way, Tim, had a comment on The Littlest Outlaw that, like, the other day was the 65th anniversary because it came out December like 22nd or something of 1955. So
well, that does make sense that because it was the last movie to be released that year out of like the four that was released that year, so it did seem like a later release.
Yeah, and I mean, it seems every year pretty much going forward now there is like some sort of Christmas release from Disney. I don't know how many years that goes, but obviously you and I know from the theater industry that the last 20-25 years Christmas Day has been huge, and people want to release their movies and stuff. So all right, so anyway, this was based on the novel Children of the Covered Wagon, which originally was what the movie was going to be called before they changed it. The book was by Mary Jane Carr, and what I found interesting is that the book is largely taken from the children's perspective, whereas here there's children in the movie, but we don't really get much through their eyes at all. They're just sort of here as characters.
Yeah, I felt like they had some, but it definitely did focus on Fess Parker more.
Yeah, Yeah, apparently the book's a little different in that respect. This was filmed entirely on location in Thousand Oaks, California, at one of the ranches that Disney, I don't know if he owned, but he certainly used it from time to time, the Conejo Ranch. This was originally on the old Magical World of Disney about a month before the movie came out, like Walt did at this time. One of the episodes was called Along the Oregon Trail. And so it gave us some snapshots of the movie. And I assume Fess Parker was probably, interviewed and stuff like they used to do. And then there was a 4-segment thing on Disneyland called The First Americans, and it was all about the Indians, and that began the same day that this got released. And or no, well, it says on the premiere of the film, so maybe not December 20th specifically, but right around that time. And then this was shown 5 years later in 1961 on Disneyland as a 2-part film. And as we move into the actors that Tim's going to tell us about, several of these kids were from the Mickey Mouse Club program, which had just started airing in 1955. So I would imagine this is probably the first movie that was filmed since the Mickey Mouse Club started. I don't know if we'll see these kids moving forward. Annette Funicello is, obviously the most famous of the early Mickey Mouse Club kids, but you had Cubby here and some of the people whose names I sort of recognize. And then the one kid played by David Stollery, who plays Dan Thompson, I guess the main kid pretty much. He was on the Spin and Marty segments of the Mickey Mouse Club. So Walt was definitely getting a lot of use out of the Mickey Mouse Club kids. Tim, were you familiar with any of these people?
The only name I've heard before was that Cubby.
Yeah, I feel like Cubby and Annette were really the two originals that stood out. Of course, Annette went on to do a lot of the beach movies in the 60s and stuff. But what I think is interesting about this is I've seen a couple of the real early episodes of the Mickey Mouse Club, and it was they didn't do a lot of sketches or things like that. I feel like the 90s version that had Justin Timberlake and Britney Spears and stuff, there was more singing parts, there was more skits. So I'm not sure why they were pushing these kids into acting, because they didn't really do a lot of acting on the show.
I don't remember ever really watching any of the original.
Okay.
I've just seen the opening where they're like, Annette, and that's about
it. Yes, which of course they kind of parody in Hairspray when they do the the introduction of all the kids on that show. But did you see any of the 90s version? Did you have Disney Channel in the 90s? We didn't.
I did. I must have watched them, but I don't remember Justin Timberlake or any of them really being on it. Yeah.
I feel like most of them became singers. The only one that I feel like became a popular actor is Ryan Gosling.
Yeah.
But all right. Anyway, so a couple other things about the making of the movie. So there was a little bit of sort of back and forth between Walt Disney and this one of the director's assistant, second unit director. I don't know if it's a male or female, but Yakima Canutt. Basically, number one, wanted to explode one of the wagons for a really cool scene, but Disney was like, oh no, they wouldn't have as much explosives, so let's not do that. Which I think this movie could have used maybe an explosion or two. But then this Indian attack scene, Tim, I'm sure you read this because I got this on IMDb, but children are going to be watching this film, so Walt was like, let's kind of not do this huge bloody Indian attack. Let's just not have anybody killed. Let's just tone it down a bit. And so they filmed it that way after some pushback, but Disney saw it, was like, oh right, this looks really stupid and horrible, let's not do this. So they reshot a whole bunch of scenes, costing a lot of money. I could not find, by the way, a full budget for this movie. I looked on several different of my usual sites, couldn't find anything. I know that it made 2.75 million at the box office, but I can't imagine it cost much more than that to make. What do you
No,
think?
I think they read that it was somewhat of a success, so I imagine it turned a profit.
Yeah, my guess is based on how it looks, I would say probably maybe in the 2 million or so range. Um, and then the only other thing here was that one of the tunes from the movie, Ringle Wrangle, Fess Parker turned into another hit single. It made number 12 on the pop charts, which to me, I didn't even think that was that good of a song. Um, the one that stood out to me, I guess, the most was the one he sings at the beginning around the campfire. Um, what was that? The Ballad of whatever.
John Coulter.
Yeah, the Ballad of John Coulter. I thought that was the best song in the movie, but whatever. They decided to release Ringle Wrangle as the hit single. So Tim, let's hear all about this movie, Westward Ho The Wagons.
Okay, I have just a basic synopsis, not really going over that much of the plot details, but like Dan said, it is based off Mary Jane Carr's novel, Children of the Covered Wagon. It's about a small group of families traveling to Oregon in 1846 in a wagon train. The pioneers first deal with a group of hostile Native Americans from the Pawnee tribe, and then later, when stopping at Fort Laramie, the group must find a way to gain the trust of the Sioux and have them help them by escorting them through the rest of the way with their warriors. And so the cast consists of Davy Crockett, four Musketeers, and Superman. So,
Yeah. Oh
so
yeah, I forgot to mention that his last movie.
yeah. So you have Fess Parker. He plays John Doc Grayson, who is basically giving him his Davy Crockett performance as always, but he has more medical knowledge. He still knows a lot about Native Americans, and he still knows a lot about battle strategy for someone who's a doctor.
Yeah, well, all right, we'll get into it. Yes, I didn't quite understand that.
Yeah, so the leading lady in this, you have Kathleen Crowley, and she plays Laura Thompson, and she's a widow traveling with her two kids. One is Dan, played by David Stowry, and one of them is one of the Musketeers. One is it? It's I think Karen Pendleton, and she plays Myra, and she's the love interest to Fess Parker, and I feel like she's a strong woman, being a single mother traveling the Oregon Trail, and she has a good speech at one point, speaking up for her kids. Then you have Jeff York. He plays Hank Breckenridge. Like, I didn't even know his name. I had to look it up. He's the tracker and friend of Grayson. He's the comic relief, but I feel he's very lacking in this movie. He's not there that much. His best scenes are in the beginning of the movie where they have a dance, and there's some scenes with him and Fess Parker, and he tries to cut in with the dance. I thought that was pretty funny. His interactions at that beginning, I was like, oh, this is good. But then he kind of disappears for half the movie, and he comes back at the end.
Yeah, and there really is hardly any humor in the movie. I mean, there's a couple of drips and drabs, but this is certainly not your typical Disney like light fare.
No, but I liked his character. I just wish he was in more.
Yeah, it's funny he's third billed.
Yeah, I would think George Reeves would be third billed. George Reeves is famous for playing Superman in the Adventures of Superman television show. During this time, he plays James Stephan. He's the group leader, and he is father of the other three Musketeers. It's like Dan said, it's his last film role, and he's trying to hide behind a beard he's wearing and try to escape the shadow of Superman, because I'm not sure how many people are familiar with his story, but he was so well known for being Superman that he was typecast as Superman. It was really hard for him to break out of that. He wanted to quit Superman a bunch of times, but they kept just giving him money and money and money. And then he tragically died shortly after this. And the way he died, they still don't really know if it was murder or suicide. His death is very suspicious. And I know this.
Didn't they base the movie
Hollywoodland?
Did they base the movie Hollywoodland about him?
Yep, Hollywoodland, okay. Starring Ben Affleck.
I've never seen that, but I heard that's what that was about.
That's basically how I know most of that information. But yeah, it was a decent movie. Okay. So then you have
I've heard it was good.
You have the good old Mouseketeers. You have Tommy Cole. You have Karen Pendleton. You have Doreen Tracy and Cubby O'Brien. I felt like this was 2 episodes of a television show merged into one. Did you have that feeling?
Yes, I did. It's funny because, of course, we recently watched the Davy Crockett movies, which were exactly that. They were, TV, two to 3 episodes of the TV show put into a movie. I felt especially like there's almost like a middle point of this movie where it's like, okay, now that story's done. Now we'll do this. Yes, it seemed very much like that to me.
Yeah. And I mean, I can't really see them flipping the stories either, but the first story is a lot more action heavy and the second one is more drama heavy. So it definitely feels disjointed.
It's very unbalanced.
Yeah. So the songs, there's like 4 main songs. You have Westward Ho The Wagons, the theme songs over the opening credits and the closing credits. Dan, you like the Ballad of John Coulter, which
I kind of did.
I thought it was a good song, but that basically alludes to the little kid Dan's interaction with the Native Americans. Basically, he does the same exact thing that he sings about, which I guess is a real folk tale. John Coulter escaping a group of Native Americans, and Dan basically has to do the same thing. And then you have Ringle Wrangle, which they sing on the wagon train. I actually thought Ringle Wagon was catchy.
All right.
I mean, out of the 2, I could see that would be more mainstream than the Ballad of John Coulter.
I guess that's true. Ballad of John Coulter is a little specific, but I don't know. I guess they had such a hit with the Ballad of Davy Crockett. Obviously, John Coulter is not as well known. He's not going to spark a whole revolution of, kids wearing different things. But it's like song for song, I preferred that one more. But yeah, I guess from a radio perspective, Ringle Wrangle makes more sense to be like the hit.
Yeah, it was fun. And then you have I'm Lonely, My Darling, also sung by Fess Parker. I feel like we're hitting the same beats and notes of every Fess Parker movie right now. It's like, hey, he does a decent job of acting. He can hold his own doing his Davy Crockett performance, and then he can sing, and we give him a couple songs.
Yeah, I think we're really seeing the limitations of Fess Parker's acting, and there's still, I think, 2 more. I know Old Yeller he's in, and I think he's in one after that as well. But yeah, I feel like he's just Davy Crockett in all of them with different hats. Like the acting is pretty much the same. He's giving the same sort of, life lessons and the same type of speech pattern and all of that.
Yeah, and I guess they were just like, hey, if it's not broke, we're not gonna fix it.
Right.
This was what sold. This what the Davy Crockett craze was. The talk of the town. So they're like, do your Davy Crockett and we're going to make you a doctor. Do your David Crockett and we're going to make you a spy and you're going to steal a train. Like,
right.
we'll give you a
yeah, and he, I mean, like you said, he's competent enough, you know, he's okay. And him and Jeff York obviously have a good back and forth. I read today that Jeff York is also in Old Yeller with Fess Parker, so they'll be teaming up again in a few more movies. But like you said, you know, he's only in not even half of the movie, Jeff York, so he doesn't quite have him to play off of like he did in the last Davy Crockett film.
Yeah. So I also thought that there's two chase scenes in the first half. One with the little boy Dan escaping the Native Americans, and then the other, which was the Indian attack, where they're chasing the covered wagons. I thought both of them were way too long. Like, when I was watching, especially the second one, like the first one, they were just running on foot, and like they kept showing his shadow, they showed his feet, they showed his their feet, their shadows. It was interesting. It was very artsy way to show the chase scene, and then they did almost the same exact scene with horses.
Yeah.
Do you know what movie it reminded me of?
Is it Lone Ranger again, Tim?
No, it's
Okay.
Quentin Tarantino's Hateful Eight. They had that, opening horse scene, and then halfway through the movie, they had another horse scene where they did artsy shots of the horses, and
for like 8 minutes.
Yeah, it was really long in those movies.
Well, one thing. Okay, so when they cut the CinemaScope version for the home video, they actually also cut out like 3 or 4 minutes of the movie, and I couldn't figure out from any of the articles I read what that was. But yeah, so we saw a version that's an hour and 26 minutes or so. It's supposed to be an hour and 30 minutes exactly, and that was the original. So I don't know if there was more chasing that we didn't see, or what they decided to cut out, but that kind of reminded me when I read that. I was like, man, I wonder if they cut those chase scenes down from what they were.
I don't know. The only other thing I have on here is it really bugged me that at one point the kids make this really stupid decision. After Dan is taken by the Indians, the other kids were hiding, and they're like, oh, we should go back. Oh, let's wait in case there's more of them. And then it's nightfall, they go back and tell, and then they say they were up there for 4 hours.
Yeah, that was weird.
I'm like, your camp's not that far. Keep up, look around, and then maybe like crawl back or something. Like, one of them is your brother, and he was just taken by Native Americans. Like, go warn people. Don't wait 4 hours. And it was basically just a plot point so that it was dark, so that when they told them, like, the adults were like, oh, well, we can't track them at night. We don't want to track over our tracks. And then thus giving little Danny time to escape and run. Like, I don't know.
I sort of chalk that up to they're just stupid kids. But you actually bring up a good point with the like waiting until dark. That whole segment. Well, there's a couple segments in this movie where it's very dark, and like the lighting is not that great. I mean, it's not like you can't see what's going on, but it's definitely. We've seen Disney movies do a lot better in the dark than I thought this movie did.
Yeah.
So one of the things that bugged me that we haven't really gotten to yet is just the general nature that the characters never really get anywhere in this movie. Like, basically, at the beginning of the movie, they're already on the journey. And at the end of the movie, they're still very far from their destination. So it's like, it's almost like, a couple days in the life or whatever, but they're basically still doing the same thing they were doing when the movie started.
But now they have a Indian escort so that they can make it safely to Oregon.
I guess that's true. I guess that was really the purpose for the movie, to get the red man to escort them to where they need to go.
But
I don't
also,
know about you, Tim. What is it?
I was going to say also, it's called Children of the Covered Wagon. Like, obviously, they're going to be in the covered wagons the whole time.
Yes, I guess that's true. The original, but you know what? They took so many liberties, apparently, with the original story. They could have done a couple other things, maybe to make it a little different. Did you read anything about the director of this, by the way, Tim?
I did not.
Okay, so the guy that directed it, I was not familiar with. His name's William, I would say Beaudine. It's Beaudine. So or Baudine maybe, but anyway, or Bodine. So he's directed like well over 100 movies. He was known in the silent era and in the 30s for cranking out like multiple pictures a year on really really low budgets. And so this is the first movie he did in a long time with a substantial budget again. And so to me, I think maybe that's why some of like the night shots didn't work that well, because he's so used to working on limited budgets that he just didn't really know how to set it up well or whatever. And it's the only Disney movie or project that he worked on. So obviously Disney wasn't real thrilled with the result either, because obviously he goes back to the well many times with people he likes.
So we talked about a lot of negatives so far.
Yeah, I guess that's true.
So
I have mostly negatives.
The first half of the movie is exciting.
Mm-hmm.
The second half of the movie is good as well. It's just very dramatic and it just feels very disjointed. So I feel like the stories of both of those were decent, and I just feel like it would have been better as two different episodes of a television show instead of one movie. Kind of like how the David Crockett movies felt. It just felt a little disjointed, but I still felt the acting was decent. Fess Parker, decent as always. I actually thought
I thought the woman was really good.
Rally at one point, like when she was giving her speech, like to the Native Americans because they wanted to take her daughter away. At one point, like I had to like. She also kind of looks like Glennis Johns did when she was very young.
I thought the same thing, and a little bit in the voice too.
A little bit of the voice. At one point, like I was like, I had to look it up, and I was like, I know I didn't see her name in it, but she was playing a strong woman, and she has like this big speech, and she looks very similar to her. So I thought she did a really good job. I thought Jeff York did a good job of what he was given. George Reeves, I mean, his character's not even in it that he's probably in it just as much as Jeff York's is, but I thought he did a decent job as well. And I didn't think the kids were that bad. I actually thought the David Stollery kid did a decent job of playing the older boy.
Yeah, I mean, he's the one who, of everybody, had a little bit of an acting career after this. The kids were okay. I didn't, think that they were harming the material that much. The one girl, though, she talks in this like, it's such a like classic 30s like Shirley Temple type of, gee whiz type of voice, that it was, I don't know, it was a little annoying. But other than that, I thought, it was fine.
Yeah. And I thought the second half where they were dealing with the Native Americans in a way that it wasn't just hostiles and they were trying to make peace. They had the kids interact with the young kids of the Sioux tribe as well. So I thought they were shining a positive light on the Native Americans as well as a negative light, which would have been kind of what they were dealing with in the time of the Oregon Trail, is like they had good experiences and bad experiences with the Native Americans. So I applaud it for that.
And time period, where would this be compared to Davy Crockett? Because this takes place, I don't know when exactly. I mean, 1800s, obviously, but decade wise, I have no idea. Was this before Davy Crockett, you think?
Let me find my Davy Crockett notes right here. Oh, no.
Yeah, but David Crockett was like the 1840s, right? And like 1840s, 1850s. Because the Alamo was the 18, what was it, the 1860s maybe? Oh no, I'm way off. 1836 was the Alamo. So I guess Davy Crockett must take place in the like the 1810s through the 1830s.
Yeah, because it was like 14 years or something like that.
So this is probably after that, then I guess.
Yeah, because this takes this. They said 1846 in the plot description.
Okay, so
Yeah,
a little bit after that, but I just wonder about the Davy Crockett comparison, just because Indians factored in so much to the last Davy Crockett movie we watched.
yeah. So the Creek Indian War ended in 1814, and Davy Crockett was in Congress between 1827 and 1835, and then the Alamo was 1836. So
okay,
this is 10 years after the Alamo.
after Davy Crockett died. All right. Um, yeah. What else? The one dude we didn't really talk too much about him. Bissonette, the bigger dude.
Oh yeah,
Yeah. Did you recognize him at all from
I
anything?
did not, and I
It's more voice stuff, I guess. But I know him from a TV show in the '70s called Family Affair. But he did narration for all of the Winnie the Pooh stuff from the '60s and the '70s through Disney.
okay, yeah,
So he hasn't had a lot of like in front of the camera roles, but he does the Winnie the Pooh stuff, and then he also apparently does a voice in the Sword and the Stone, which I've never seen. So that'll be one coming up in the '60s.
okay, yeah. He played
Yeah.
like I guess the person who ran the fort Laramie stopped at, and he was like
Mhm.
kind of like a trading post type of fort. And he,
Yeah, I thought he did a good job too. Again, I mean, he's not in it all that much, but
yeah,
yeah, he did a good job with what he had. Well, and the other positive I could say about it is I wasn't necessarily bored at all with it. Like, yeah, the second chase scene was a little bit much, but like you said, it's just more than anything, it's just very uneven and unbalanced with the two halves.
yeah. But
So, all right.
I can't really think of a way to fix that issue because they're dealing with totally different issues. One with hostile Native Americans, one with more docile Native Americans trying to make peace. Like, unless,
Yeah, but like you said, I mean, when the first half of your movie is very action oriented, and then the second half is more dialogue driven, you're gonna lose people along the way.
yeah,
I feel like.
yeah.
So stylistically,
The only thing I can think of is what they could have done was like have like a bookend at the end where like their new friends, the Sioux warriors, have to like fight off the Pawnee hostiles or something like that.
all right. There you go. That you know what, Tim? That's we could have gotten our 4 minutes back that got trimmed and put that at the end of the movie, and there you go. Now we get an action scene in the second half,
Yeah,
the grand finale. That would have been all right. It worked for Davy Crockett.
yeah.
All right. So, what do you think grade wise? I mean, I was pretty middle of the road on this. We did talk about some positives, but I think there's a lot of negatives here too. I was thinking like a C for this movie.
I was actually thinking a C plus, just because, like you said, I wasn't bored. Did find that the story was engaging in both halves, even though it was disjointed. And I didn't think there was any horrible acting among the kids. They like none of them really like ruined it for me. Like some of the other like the little outlaw, where like that little girl was so awful. Like
Horrible.
horrible. Like these kids were okay. Like they were on par with young Luana Patton, young Bobby Driscoll when they were first like in Song of the South and the Sheep movie, So Dear to My Heart.
Yeah.
Like they weren't amazing at that point, but they were decent. Where the kids were okay in this one.
Yeah, I really thought those early Bobby Driscoll performances were good. And I don't know what happened with Treasure Island, but he got bad. But yeah, I guess that's true. All these, well, and obviously they have a lot of practice in front of the camera for Disney, just more on a TV kind of thing, which I think why this does feel very, very television-y. All right, I can get behind a C+. I won't really fight you on that, but I do wonder how my experience would have been changed if we did have the ability to view it in CinemaScope, because I think a lot of the like prairie stuff, like it was all pretty like lush scenery, you know, and some interesting background things. But yeah, I wish we got the full, you know, Monty there.
Yeah.
All right. So up next we have the Johnny Tremain, right? That's the next one.
Johnny Tremain is the next one.
Which, did you have to read that book in school, by the way?
No, I did not.
All right. I didn't either. The only thing I know about Johnny Tremain is that Bart Simpson had to read it. And he really was mad about it, but then he thought it was real cool because Johnny Tremain gets deformed or something, and then I guess it's like a lot of action. So Bart liked it. So I'm kind of looking forward to it, honestly.
Okay.
So that'll be our next one.
Stars in Johnny Tremain.
I don't know if it's anybody that we
I think
know. Is it
Luana Patton? I just mentioned her.
Oh, is that right?
Luana Patton, but I forget who the guy is.
Oh, I'll tell you exactly. There's two people that we know. Now, the main kid, Johnny Tremain, we don't know. Hal Stallmaster or something. I don't know him. But Jeff York is in it.
Okay.
Our good buddy. And Sebastian Cabot, the dude I was talking about that does a lot of the narration and stuff for Disney. He's in it in another live action role. So a couple of people from this movie come back. All right. Well, look, now I'm kind of pumped about this movie.
Okay.
Also not on Disney Plus, so we're gonna have to wait for the DVD and then we'll watch it.
Yep.
All right. Thanks for joining, Tim, and thanks for a great year of Dan Does Disney.
It was my pleasure.
Yeah, and we'll see everybody next time. Bye.